Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
Welcome to the D.O. Boxing Show.
So in the studio today, we have two guests. I'm not going to tell you guys where I met them. That's my. I'm not going to disclose my source, but we have Tyrone Bradshaw, who's who brings a specialty to boxing in the Toronto area, and we also have Dameon Okposio. He's a publisher of a magazine called Below the Belt. So. Tyrone Bradshaw is quickly becoming a name of the boxing. With a corporate background in dealing with automotive parts and paint, Tyrone brings his business sense to the sweet science of boxing. He knows how to build brand awareness and utilizing those business tools to build his profile at the sport of boxing at the same time. Currently the head boxing coach at the UFC gym in Mississauga, right here, Tyrone's students get to see his business philosophy of minding your business firsthand. His personal brand is specialty boxing, and he has developed trusting relationships with sponsors, bringing the gap between business and athletes. Tyrone has been a brand ambassador for Everlast and Greenhill Boxing Equipment, worked alongside prominent professional promoters, and coached Golden Glove Championships. He's rapidly becoming a major player in Canadian boxing, and if he stays in the sport, the future of Canadian boxing looks pretty good. Now, when I met Tyrone a couple of days ago, I loved his vibe, I loved his positivity, and in the short time that I spent with him, what he's trying to do. One of the things he said to me was that he's trying to coach the kids, help the kids, and trying to keep them off of the streets. Tyrone, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Terry's driving.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Dameon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tyrone, like I said, you are a professional boxing coach, but you started off in the automotive industry, and you were telling me that you were in the automotive industry for about 20 years?
Yeah, that's correct.
So how did you get involved in boxing?
I got involved in boxing through my uncle. So my family's been a part of the boxing community. My uncle's been involved in the boxing community for over 25 years. He was recently inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame, and I had the privilege to present that award to him last year.
And how long have you been involved in boxing? How long have you been a coach?
So I've been the head boxing coach at the UFC gym. The UFC came to Ontario about 3.5 years ago, so it's almost 4 years in Ontario. But I was apprenticing under my uncle, Richard Lewis, legendary coach in Ontario. So I had apprenticed under him for about 5 years. So I've been in boxing probably full time the last 8 years.
We also have a Dameon Okposio. If I read you his portfolio, his resume, it's endless. Dameon was born in Toronto, Ontario, to a Nigerian father and Trinidadian mom. His childhood was less than ideal. At the age of 10, he ran away from home. He grew up in a foster care and moved around from group home to group home. He always had a creative side and writing stories as a kid. He developed his own comic strip, The Mixer, and sold it at school to kids for lunch money. At the age of 13, he wrote, directed, and starred in a play for the Catholic Separate School Board while attending St. Leonard's Catholic Elementary School in North York. At the age of 16, he moved out on his own. He worked part-time while going to school and then dropped out of high school in grade 10. He started counseling youth in 1986 for the Catholic Children's Aid Society and then grew his own counseling business to counsel kids for other government agencies. Now, Dameon took over the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame, a non-profit corporation, in 2002 and launched the first Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame. Boxing Consumer Trade Show in 2003. Over the years, he has promoted amateur boxing matches, boxing trade shows, and various other boxing events while managing and training amateur and professional boxers. Now, he's also a publisher for a magazine called Below the Belt. He's done the Dio Boxing Newsletter, Dio Promotions, Dio Boxing Show, Dio Custom Shirts, Dio Boxing Sales, Dio Management, Dio International Boxing Consulting, and the list goes on and on and on. And here's the kid who dropped out of school at 13. Dameon, first of all, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you.
And that's, it's a hard life, but very impressive of what you've done with it.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very happy to be here on Newstalk Sauga, 960 AM.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Most welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks for Tyrone Bradshaw for setting this up. I had some struggles early in life, but one of the things that I've learned over time is that everybody has their struggles. I just utilized the opportunities that I've had, and I try and immerse myself in whatever it is that I'm doing. I try and do it 100%. And I find that when you do that, you have no regrets and you get the most out of anything that you are doing.
And how did you get involved in boxing?
How did I get involved in boxing? You know what? It goes back to a girl, actually.
Ooh, okay.
So, I broke up with a girl that I was going out with, and then I started putting on a lot of weight. So my frame is like, I put on weight easy. I look at junk food and I put it on. So, and then my friends were like, hey, you should do something. And they recommended getting into boxing. And, I went there, and not only was it good for, getting my mind focused, but also because of the background I had as a kid in terms of growing up in foster care and running away from home, I got to punch out a lot of my feelings. So even though when I started boxing I wasn't that good, it was like therapy for me. And it gave me an outlet for my aggression, and just through that I stayed dedicated, and then I started making a lot of good relationships, and it was yielding a lot of positive results for me. I was feeling better, I was more calm, I was getting in shape. So boxing, it did a lot for me. And then it also taught me about hard work, because I lost my first amateur fight. It was a 3-round beatdown, basically. I got beat down. So I caught every punch with my head, and I was like, whoa. And it was very tough. And I remember after that, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to get in there again, but I didn't want to also leave the sport with just having the one bad experience. So I trained extremely hard. I trained harder than I've ever trained for anything. And I realized that there was another level you could go to, because before I thought I was training hard, but I wasn't. I was putting in time, but I wasn't training intensely. And I found out, when you really want something, there's another level you can go to, and pushing yourself that hard is not going to kill you. And you'll be surprised with what you can accomplish. And I've just taken that attitude towards everything else that I've done, so I don't limit myself. I push myself, and I saw that in doing that and bringing it over to business or other things that I have interest in, I can actually accomplish a lot more than I thought.
And Tyrone, let me come back to you. Now, you never stepped in the boxing ring. You never fought as a boxer.
No, never competed. No.
So, how did you pick up the boxing skills? So, what did you teach the kids when you're coaching the kids? How did you pick up those skills?
Well, this is because I never competed in boxing. Boxing is something that I've been in love with since I was a little kid. So the actual craft of boxing is what I use to, like I played basketball. So any sports that I did, boxing was my actual conditioning for any sport that I did. So I've always been in love with the sport. I've been a student of the sport since a little kid. So when the opportunity to assist my uncle in his nonprofit program, I was comfortable just following in suit. I learned everything I know from my uncle, so that is what put me in a position to go ahead and teach. I'm not shy of getting in the ring. I get into the ring with my guys just to keep them fresh on their toes and keep me fresh on my toes as well. So, getting in the ring was not an issue. It's just something as a kid I was never looking to do. I was never competing. I was always the smallest guy in my group. So getting into a ring to compete was not something that I was looking to do. I played different sports.
So the type of coach he is, I'm going to narrate a little story, and I want him to tell me about that. I read a story about not giving up, and you trying to teach the kids how to do a backflip. Can you tell us that story? Because when I read it, I loved it. Tell us that.
Okay, so again, like Dameon says, when it comes to boxing, as a coach, my main thing is trying to make the connections between real life and boxing.
Right.
And for me, again, it's the lessons of not giving up, not quitting, pushing yourself to the limits. So for my 40th birthday, one of my goals was to learn how to do a backflip. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and it's something that would challenge me. I was terrified to learn how to do it, but I would practice every day in front of my team, my students, and I let them see me go through the process of, my fails and my progress. It's something that I wanted to show them that through hard work and persistence, your goals can come true.
And so the story is he kept doing backflips, kept falling, kept doing a backflip, kept falling, and right in front of his students. So I guess the goal was to show them that I will get it, and you did get it. You did master after about 3 days.
100%. Well, no, it took me 3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks. I'm sorry.
It took me 3 weeks, and I'm not gonna lie. To this day, I'm still very much terrified to do it. But I will challenge myself, and that's exactly it. I wanted to show my students that take that risk, take that initiative, and put yourself out there. Put yourself out there.
Okay, so Dameon, I'm going to come back to you. Now, I was reading, and I did mention this, at the age of 13, when you were 13, you wrote, directed, and starred. So you acted in a play for the Catholic School Board.
Yes.
So I guess as a kid, you had the media personality, I guess, the acting personality. Did you always want to be in the media?
No, I think that, the first thing is I have a lot of self-love for myself, and I think it was a reflex action because of how I grew up. So, I wasn't getting a lot of encouragement at home, and I wasn't getting a lot of encouragement from teachers because I wasn't the greatest student. So I think it was a defensive mechanism, because I used to just tell myself that I was special, And I think I did that to mentally survive my situation at home, and it had a lot of positive effects. So when I was a kid, I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't want to feel bad. And I was like, hey, you're special. And I was like, yeah, you are. I think I convinced myself. And it just developed into this self-love for myself. And then as I started trying things and having success with them, it just kind of reinforced my confidence in myself. So it was like, it was something I think I did initially out of survival, to protect my mind, and became a tool. So it was almost by accident, but being an adult now, I can analyze it and break it down and see the origins of where that came from. So when I was younger, I used to practice hip hop, and I had a hip hop group with some kids that I went to school with, and we used to perform for the other kids. We used to perform for the girls in our class. So, it was just something that brought attention, and I felt really good. And then from there, I was acting, I was doing anything. I was just anything that would get me a little bit of attention, make me feel good about myself, I would be all hands in doing.
For benefit of our viewers, I'd like to let you know that we are in conversation with boxing coach Tyrone Bradshaw, and the I guess former boxer, publisher, Dameon Okposio. And we interview a lot of celebrities, a lot of actors, singers, musicians here, and athletes now. And one of the things that I try to bring to, and I've been doing that in the media, is to provide a platform to the local talent, to everyday people like yourself, but who are doing wonderful jobs out there, who are trying to make a difference in the community.
Thank you.
So that's why I always say that it's a pleasure to having both of you guys here, and both of you guys are very, very good speakers, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So Tyrone, I'm gonna ask you this question: What does it take to be a good boxing coach?
For me, it's patience. It's understanding. It's just. For me, it's understanding that everybody is different. There is no perfect way to coach. I've met several coaches. I've been around, quote unquote, the best coaches, quote unquote, the worst coaches. All said and done, I've seen students cry for both of the coaches. So there is no right way. What I truly believe is that if you understand that, there's no particular way you should be coaching. There's no blanket coaching method. Everybody's different. Main thing is being patient. And the understanding for me is what do I want out of coaching? That's a big one for me. I think those are the elements that make a good coach. Just know what I want out of coaching, know that I gotta give myself to my students, and that's just, and be comfortable with that. And I think those are the elements for me anyways.
Awesome. Dameon, what was your dream job when you were a kid? Because when we were kids, we always want to be a pilot or an
100%,
actor.
100%.
So what was your dream job?
My dream job, so I grew up in government housing, and my mom used to clean houses, and she took me one time to this house, and they had the kids were all grown, but they kept all their toys, and the toys were stuck under a cupboard in the kitchen for some reason. I don't know why, but they had a massive kitchen anyways. And I was like, yeah, what do these people do? And she was like, oh, they're dentists. And I was like, oh, and what do the kids do? And the kids are dentists too. So they had so many toys and cool toys that I'd never seen before. So while she was cleaning the house, I was playing like these little handheld video games and stuff. And from that point, I was like, man, I'm going to be a dentist because they got all these cool toys. So that was my dream job for a long time. And then I had a lot of bad marks. Like I had bad marks in elementary school. So the first time I told a teacher that I wanted to be a dentist, they were like, you should think of something else. You don't have the marks. You're not going down the path of a dentist.
And I'm going to ask you the same question, Tyrone. What was your dream job when you were a kid?
Okay, so that's funny. So my dream job as a kid, I think like a lot of kids, I wanted to be a fireman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was something that really appealed to me. But I was reminded by my Sunday school teacher about 5 years ago. She pulled out a letter that we had gone to church. I think it was maybe when I was about 8 years old or 9, and she pulled out a letter that I had wrote saying what my goals were. And at that point, when I was 8, I told her I wanted my own community center. And I wanted to be a coach, and I wanted to help. It's funny because she says she's retired now, so she's ready. But this is what I've been wanting to do. I think everything in my life has just led me to getting to this point.
It's funny. The reason I asked that is I was looking at one of my old grade 8 graduation yearbook, and I wrote in it. They ask you, what do you want to be? And I wrote in it, I said, a doctor and or actor. You know what? I went to medicine school. Well, I did drop out. I was telling the story.
Yeah.
And I did ended up enacting a couple of Bollywood films. And here I am in the media. So, but you never know where life is going to take you.
Yeah.
But this is the power of setting goals.
Yeah.
100%.
Setting goals.
And talking about goals, we are going to come back. I'm going to take a short commercial break. We are in conversation with boxing coach Tyrone Bradshaw and publisher, former boxer, a wonderful person. Most of them are wonderful. Dameon Okposio. Don't go away. You're listening to
Newstalk Sauga 960
Awesome.
AM.
Love it.
Oh yeah, he's got the voice.
But so what we'll do is so we're going to come towards the community work that you guys are doing, and let's talk about that. And you did a great job. Good. And you're very comfortable. I can see that.
Oh,
a lot of times
we
people
love
are
this, man.
Yeah.
We love, and I'm very, very appreciative.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
I tried to put a
great.
personal touch to it.
Yeah.
And there's other stations will spice things up, and I want to keep it real.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is real.
I like it.
This is community. There's a lot of people out there who are doing wonderful work. But you know what? Nobody mentions that.
Right.
Nobody mentions
Yeah.
that.
No, it's tremendous, and it's appreciated.
I was trying to, no, my pleasure. And you try to, and that's why the station came in.
Yeah.
When the Mississauga, city of Mississauga lost the Rogers.
That's right. The
community channel.
DB, yeah.
So that was a chance to come in. But we didn't think we were going to be right up there. So now the other station, like 640, 1010,
Yeah.
680, they're actually calling in to find out what's happening in the community.
Nice.
So one of the things that I do is I do a lot of on-location shows.
Oh, nice.
Especially in summer, I did so many of them.
Oh, wow.
Vibrant Brampton, Mosaic. I did 5 shows from the Celebration Square in Mississauga.
Oh, nice.
Brampton, for some reason, don't like our name because it says Sauga on the.
Right.
So but we're for everybody.
Yeah.
Patrick Brown doesn't like us.
Oh, jeez.
That's okay.
Crazy.
And so we'll talk about the giving back to the community. We're going to talk about the gym. Talk about your gym and what kind of programs or what's a good age to if somebody wants to learn boxing or discipline. What's a good age for the kids to be thrown in there. So, and great job. Just talk about the magazine.
Okay.
And I'll ask you, simply how often you publish this.
Okay.
What are the hardships of running a magazine?
Oh, absolutely.
So mention that.
Can I also mention? Sorry.
Yeah, the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Can I mention the Ontario?
Yes, we're gonna, yes.
Okay.
You want to talk about Hockey Hall of Fame? Boxing Hall of Fame first?
It's up to you.
Yeah,
So we can talk about that first.
No. Let's talk about the gym because you got the Rocksteady program.
We'll
that
talk all
stuff.
of it. We have time.
Okay.
We're on till 5, so so feel free. Feel free.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
See, it's just funny. And I was talking to my son, and I said to him, I said, listen, you know, if I hadn't talked to Tyrone or his family at all, I wouldn't have said, would have never known.
Right.
And that's just the power of talking to, but just being nice. So when I go out there, I go with an open mind.
Yes.
Like, that's what you learn about people when you talk to them.
Exactly.
And we're back. Terry's Drive-In, which is aired every Saturday and Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. If you have a story that you would like to share, or you would want to be a guest on our show, you know what? You could be doing anything. But you know, everybody's special out there. All of you guys out there. Each and everyone who can hear my voice, you are special in your own way. And everybody has a story. That's what makes us human beings. A good human being is the one who goes out with an open mind, learns about the world, wants to learn about the world, and what better ways to talk to each other. So that's one of the things that we try to do with this show. We try to talk to people out there. We try to talk to you. We bring in people. Yeah, we bring in celebrities. We bring in big shots. But you know what? The normal people, keeping real. Those are the big shots out there. That's what makes the world go. And I have two wonderful gentlemen here in the studio with me today, and I'm really enjoying this conversation with them. One is a boxer, Tyrone Bradshaw. I love the name though. You know, it's Bradshaw. You know, awesome name. It's like
Movie star name.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Or the real, even an athlete name like Bradshaw. And of course, and Dameon Okposio. You know, like that's a real celebrity name. So I want to talk about Dameon. I want to talk about your magazine.
Okay.
But I want to talk about the gym that Tyrone is running. Now, I believe it's called UFC Gym, Tyrone?
UFC Gym. Yeah, it's the only one in Ontario.
Okay.
And we're located in Mississauga, just off of Burlington and Mavis area. Yeah, it's a great facility. The UFC is a major player in the combat sports. They're making a lot of waves, even now in the boxing industry. So it's something that people gravitate to. They know that those are the most important letters in the fight game right now.
Yeah.
So it draws in a lot of people, and it's a great facility.
Boxing or UFC, what do you think is the right age to teach the kids? I think this sport, any sport actually, Tyrone, is a way of teaching kids a discipline, how to be disciplined, how to be a team player.
Correct.
How old do you think the kids should be to learn this type of sport?
Well, you know what? They get a lot of young kids in martial arts. So let's look at it as a martial art. Boxing is my martial art. We have kids. Our program starts at 6 years old, and I think that's a good age. At that age, they are absorbing all the information. So you have a perfect time to mold these young minds, and then get them in the habit of working hard and focusing. And these attributes, if they can pick them up real early, and that can just carry them through their lives.
How do you find dealing with kids? Are the kids hard to deal with? Okay, the reason I'm asking you, I'll tell you why. Because I coach hockey, right? Do you find dealing with the kids harder, or dealing with the parents is harder?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. So I teach 6 to 60, okay?
Wow.
And everything in between. For me, I do not treat any one of them any different. I can honestly say the kids, they respond to a focused environment. They respond well to a leader. They they look for the guidance. And if you provide a safe, fun environment, kids will they'll thrive. I know a lot of people saying kids don't pay attention, but again, it's understanding your coaching style and what are you trying to. You got to make sure that you capture their attention. But I feel that young kids, I love it. I love it. If if you can keep it interesting, fun, and safe, there's no difference between me teaching a kid, a teenager, or an adult. They're just as engaged. They can pick up what you're teaching just as well as anybody else. I don't make any excuses for young kids or people that have any challenges for that matter.
So Tyrone, what separates you from every other boxing coach out there?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, I know.
Not much. I can honestly say that we have a boxing community that is very tight. We learn from each other. I'm no different because most of the coaches in Ontario, bottom line is we love what we do. I tell people, the gym pays my bills, but boxing pays my heart.
Beautiful.
We have coaches. Some are very successful. Some are not successful in financial terms. But I can tell you this: we all love what we do. So I don't think there's anything special what I do. People can see that I have passion. But if you look at any other coaches in Ontario, in my experience, they have the same level of passion and care. It's just we have different skills.
I think it's awesome to be doing something that you love and paying your bills. But sometimes, Tyrone, that's not the case. A lot of times, you don't have the financial gains that you would want from doing something that you really love.
And that's extremely important because if you are not financially successful, there's going to be a point where you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
And this is what I teach. This is where the mind your business comes in play. I don't just teach boxing.
Yeah.
It's a mentor program that I teach. I teach kids to build their brand, and the brand is them. And no matter what you do, even if you love it, you don't feel guilty for making money because this is what will keep you in this industry. So my challenge is to not only make money for myself, make money for the people that are around me as well, and build everybody else up so that the industry will thrive. It stays within the boxing community, and boxing is something that you can make a living at doing.
By the way, Tyrone, my son, Abby, one of his friends, my son ran into him, and I guess so one of your students, former students, or he is your student, I guess. His name is Junaid Malek. He's probably out there right now listening to you. So my son ran into him, and he spoke very highly of you as a coach and as a person.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So Junaid, there you go, buddy. I wanted to give you a shout out, and thank you for those nice comments you used for Tyrone, and they did get back to me, and it did get to Tyrone. Here I am telling you on air. He thinks you're a wonderful, wonderful person.
But you know what? It's amazing, and honestly, that's the kind of people that we have on our team. We've got some really good, mature people. Janet is just a actually wonderful, wonderful person, and somebody who is, willing to give himself. So he comes to our class, and not only just to push himself, but to push others as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back to Dameon. Dameon, you took over the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame, which is a non-profit corporation, in 2002. And you also launched the first Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame and a boxing consumer trade show in 2003. Let's talk about the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Sure.
So how did you come up with this idea? Why did you decide to take over a non-profit corporation?
The Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame was in existence when I took it over.
Okay.
It was started in 2000 by a group of gentlemen that actually splintered off from what was the Canadian Boxing Hall of Fame, which I don't think is in existence anymore. They were on a great path, but sometimes with a group, people fall off, and they decided that they were going to move in a different direction and take on different projects, the different individuals that were involved, and they gave me the opportunity to take it over in 2002, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, I've always been a huge fan of boxing. Boxing's given me a lot, and it was another way that I could pay it back and pay it forward to the sport. So I took over the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame in 2002. It was a nonprofit corporation at that time, and we went from the red to the black. I dissolved the corporate status of it and made it into a sole proprietorship. And I just work with a lot of great people within the sport of boxing to help make the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame thrive. And so it's through a lot of partnerships that we developed the first boxing trade show in 2003, which we continue to do till this date. And then we started doing inductions in 2016. So recognizing legends in the sport, whether they be promoters, athletes, amateur or professional, journalists. And one of the big things, aside from having the ceremony, that I'm very proud that we're going to work on doing, is actually publishing the records, because finding, number one, content on boxing, on Canadian boxing, and finding records are two very difficult things. So those are kind of the main goals of the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame, is to recognize the accomplishments of people that have put Ontario and Canada on the map, people from Ontario that have put boxing on the map, and also to verify their accomplishments and then publish it.
Can you mention some of the names?
Yeah, definitely. I can mention, actually, we just announced the names for the 2020 Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame
So let's
induction.
talk about that. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's going to take place on Saturday, May 30th, 2020, and we're going to have tickets on sale for that soon. It's going to be in Woodstock, Ontario.
Okay.
So we have 8 inductees for 2020, and that is going to be Dwight Fraser. He's a former Olympian, and he's a coach, and he owns a boxing studio in Mississauga called Dwight Boxing Studio. And that's around the Dixie Road, Dundas area in Mississauga, if anybody's interested in checking it out. We have Sylvia Pakoda, who is a photographer. She used to be a photographer for the Toronto Sun. And she took a lot of photos of boxers and helped promote a lot of fighters, picked a lot of fighters to be sunshine boys in the Toronto Sun, which is exposed to millions of people. We have Donovan Razor Ruddock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who fought Mike Tyson twice. He's a Canadian heavyweight champion as well on the world scene.
Awesome.
We have Brian Mackey,
Okay.
who is a Canadian champion, from Orangeville, Ontario.
Didn't he carry, was Mackey who carried the torch for the right?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome.
And that's fantastic that you know him.
Yeah.
He was basically Ontario's Arturo Gatti. He was a very, very exciting fighter and had a lot of memorable matches in Ontario. And we also have Ralph Racine from Niagara Falls, who was on the world stage. We have Peter Sharman, who is a long-standing boxing coach and coached a lot of the legends in the sport, and has a Bramley Boxing Club that runs the Brampton Cup tournament till today, one of the longest-standing boxing tournaments in Ontario, and it draws competitors from all over the world. So I'm not sure if I mentioned all 8 there.
Are you missing somebody, or?
Oh yeah, Lisa Brown, who won numerous world titles, and she fought the who's who in professional boxing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Those are
it's
big
great.
names. Like, I mean, I recognize a few names in there.
Oh, you know, we have a master list of, like, when we started out, like, of 120 names, and so it was like a big deal trying to decide how many people are we going to induct every year, because, you know, it's going to take a while to get through. There's so many great fighters from Ontario, so that's one of those things that kind of becomes a point of contention sometimes, because people are really like, how come that person got in over this person?
Yep.
But it's one of those things. Everybody's going to get their time eventually.
Who is the selection committee made of? How many people are there that select the boxers?
That's how the caramel gets into the caramel bar. That's the question that everybody asks. No, but I'll tell you. We used to have 4 guys. And so from the end of 2016, it was Darrell Wambald, Dave Hutchinson, Donald Wambald, and myself. And all the names had to be agreed upon unanimously. Recently, in 2019, Dave Hutchinson and Darrell Wambald had to step down. And so right now, the selection committee consists of both myself and Donald Wambald. But the good thing about that is, Donald Wambald, he's a guy that's been involved in boxing for a very long time, had about 50 amateur fights, fought a lot of top amateurs. He's a great coached a lot of amateur and professional fighters, but he's not affiliated with any boxing club. So there's no affiliation really that the person is going to be tied to. And so he's a very fair person, and I rely on his judgment a lot of the times. And so, I think our process is still remaining very fair, even though we have the 2 of us right now that are doing it. And we're just going to continue working on our master list and adding to that as well.
Awesome. Good work.
Thank you so much.
Tyrone, I'm going to ask you this. How hard, or should I say, what are the hardships of running a gym? And then my second question is tied somewhat with it. Is it hard to juggle between family and running your own business, like running a gym?
100%. 100%. Again, because it's a job where, again, it pays your heart, you tend to put a little bit more hours than most likely your family would be comfortable with. So that's no secret there. We spend a lot of hours in the gym. And that in itself is probably one of the hardest things when you're talking about running a gym, is finding that balance between the gym and your home life. I'm very fortunate where I get a lot of support from my wife.
You have a wonderful family, by the way.
A lot of support from my kids as well. So any of the events, my wife and my kids do come out. If we're volunteering, if it has something to do with the boxing community, they step up. So that alleviates a lot of pressure for me, but on the same token, it's a balance that anybody has a challenge if you want to be successful at work and have a successful home life as well. So it's always that struggle. It's not unique to boxing, it's not unique to me. It's something that I've got to learn how to do a better job at as a coach. Like I said, I do get a lot of support, but that is a balance for me. How much time do I spend in the gym? And I'm an active coach, so I have no problem getting in the ring, working with my guys. And then there's the toll on the body, and I have to look at longevity. If this is something that I want to do until I'm into my old age, how is this going to affect my body? And what should be the plan moving forward? So these are all the things that I gotta really.
That's a good point, because I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's a very good point you brought up. And my next question was going to be, how long you plan on coaching?
So I got into coaching. So I walked away from that automotive career so that I can get into something where I build my own brand, where essentially, my business is me. And so I want to be doing this until I'm into the old age. I want to be that old guy in the ring still, come on guys, you can do it. So I want to be pushing guys until somebody pushes me down into a hole. But there is the aspect of the body. I look at a lot of some of the older coaches now and the surgeries I hear them going through. So my some of the coaches that I look up to I'm like, okay, well, you know, I want to be your age, but I want to be able to still do things and not be in constant pain. So to me, that's something that I really want to put a lot of focus on, you know, longevity in the sport, not just for my athletes, but for my coaches as well, you know, and make sure that that's a program that, you know, recovery is training hard.
You know, it's interesting you said that. I mean, I've been in the media for a very, very long time, especially I started off with the East Indian media. And I felt like walking away a few times. You do, but you know, the love of media, meeting people, talking to people, and presenting something, that itch never goes away.
Right.
So I don't think that coaching in you is ever going to go away. But yeah, interesting. That was a good point you brought up. But Dameon, let me ask you the same question. What are the hardships? How hard it is to publish? So all the work that you're doing with the Boxing Hall of Fame and your other work, how hard is it? What hardship you face publishing a magazine? Because that's not an easy task.
No, publishing has definitely been challenging, and I think when you're trying to make a dream into a reality, one of the things you have to do is be open to, number one, working your face off. I don't think there's any substitute for hard work and just putting in a lot of time and energy into what you're doing. And the other thing too is I think you just have to be ready to try different things. So with the magazine, one of the hardest things has always been getting advertising. Advertising is hard to come up with, especially in a niche market that's not well promoted, and it's not in Canada, it's not in Ontario. So one of my challenges has just been trying to find creative ways to make money with the magazine. And so one of the things when I went away from traditional advertising and started charging for content, that number one raised the profile of the magazine. It dealt with the issue of me writing about people that didn't want to be written about. So that takes that out of the equation, because if somebody wants to be featured or use the magazine to promote themselves, they want to be in there.
Right.
And you know, it allowed me to bring more money into the magazine to increase the quality of the magazine. So, you know, everything with the magazine is on purpose, and the people that want to be in there can be in there. People can use it as a tool to promote themselves. It's the ultimate business card. I use it as a business card.
Yeah, of course.
And whoever wants to be inside it and invest in themselves can use it in that way as well.
And how often do you publish this magazine?
When I started the magazine, it was quarterly. Then when I ran into the trouble with the advertising was in 2008 with the market crash, and then we restarted in 2013. And then since then, I haven't necessarily stuck to the quarterly schedule. I may put it out, you know, 4 times a year or 1 time a year. Usually I try to revolve it around the major events that I'm doing. And so the Hall of Fame event has been one that it's been revolving around, and the content will also revolve around the Hall of Fame as well too.
You know, I've got a magazine in my hand, and when Tyrone actually gave me the magazine that night when I met him, and I took it with me, and as soon as I got home I started reading it. And you know, and you get a lot of the profiles you have of the boxers from the olden days.
Yes.
Like Eddie Mello.
Yes.
You know, like I just opened up, it's right there.
Yeah.
And it's a good informative magazine. It looks good, the glossy paper and everything.
Thank you.
But yeah, kudos to you.
Thank you.
But when we come back, I'm going to take a break. It's time for the break. So I'll take a short commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to you gentlemen about what you're doing for the community, how you're giving back to the community. So it's all about the community today, all about sports, all about the athletes, about giving back to the community. And we are your community station, Newstalk Sauga 960 AM. Our producer, Jyoti Pannu, she just mentioned one of our hosts for the Spin, which is aired Monday to Friday with Barry Davis, and Michelle Urveno Did I say that right? Or she's gonna kill me if I pronounce her name wrong. But apparently, you guys know her, or she knows you guys. So, what a small world, isn't it, Tyrone?
The boxing community is very small.
Yeah. Okay. So we are talking. We're in conversation with Tyrone Bradshaw, who's the coach, who's the boxing coach, and I should say actually he's a life coach in a way, because from what I've heard from other people. And then we have Dameon Okposio, who's a former boxer, been through the hardships of life and trying to give back to the community, who actually publishes the magazine called Below the Belt, and who overtook the Boxing Hall of Fame. So gentlemen, good work that you're putting in. But what I want to bring you to giving back to the community. I'm a big believer in giving back. And one of the stories that when we were standing around outside of the studio, we were just sharing our little stories. And I found out at a young age that I find that people who have less are more giving. You can have all the money, Dameon, in the world, but it takes a special kind of heart to give back. And I know you guys are involved in a lot of charities, but Tyrone, let me start off with you. Even this morning, or yesterday actually, sorry, when we were communicating by text messaging, you said that we will be there. In the morning, we're going to spend some time with the homeless shelter people, and then we'll be on time. We'll be on time to do the interview. Tell me, how do you give your time? What do you do? What charities do you work with?
So we personally, I work with different charities, a lot of charities. Basically, I want to be involved in the community, and I choose the circle that I'm around very carefully. And with that, I've been very fortunate with my partner, Dameon Okposio. He's met some great people that are doing some great things in the community. I've just let my time and some of my resources. I know we had a gentleman that was working with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Dameon does work with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So we make sure we try to give out memberships to kids in the community that need them. So last year we put a program together to help out a young man that's in the Mississauga area. So we did that, and that's just through Dameon's connections. He's been doing work with Big Brothers, Big Sisters for quite some time. He also was involved with another organization, Team Nobodies, that we go down once a month, and that's what actually we did today. We were going down giving out food and supplies, basic necessities to the less fortunate.
And how do you guys collect this food, like the needs of people? How do you fulfill the needs of people?
Well, I'll let Dameon talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
He's been involved with that a little bit longer.
As Tyrone was saying, we do a lot of these endeavors in the community together. So just to go back on with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Appeal, we did a fundraiser to provide a gym membership for youth involved in Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And we worked together with the UFC gym and was able to give a 1-year membership to a youth that Tyrone still trains till today. Also, we work with Team Nobodies for the last couple of years. The group, it's a group of volunteers, and it was started by a young lady named Kim Cataret.
Okay.
And she's just very passionate about giving back to the homeless people in Toronto, because it's such a big issue there in Toronto. And it just draws volunteers from all over, Brantford, Milton, and all different places. And basically we just reach out to friends and family for anything that they can provide, like socks and warm clothing. And we get food together, and then she has friends that put sandwiches together. So like today we gave out about 200 sandwiches, including just fresh fruit, snacks and stuff like that, as well as clothing. And we just hit a couple places that Kim has targeted, like the Seton House in Toronto. There's a church that we go to, and then Moss Park. And it's just a tremendous platform for people to be able to do what they can. Some people donate, but they can't attend. Some people can attend, and they help give items out. So it's one of those things where a lot of people always talk about giving back, and the young lady Kim Cataret, she's actually taken the step of creating an environment where people can and they can contribute in the way that they can, and that's what we do. We support people that are doing great things, and we'll come on board and we'll bring our friends on board, and we'll contribute our resources and our time to support people that are doing great things in the community, like Team Nobodies. And also too, because I've had a lot of opportunities and I'm doing well, I like to also give back. So I do a youth scholarship every year, and I give $500 to a young person that's in the sport of boxing that is doing something with themselves and that's involved in the community as well. And all they have to do is just write an essay. It's available every year, and then we give that scholarship away at the induction dinner as well.
Awesome, I love it. You know, and I'm a big believer in giving back too. What I do is, well, I'm a full-time, actually, a realtor, and I own a restaurant. Now, there is a different type of work that I do, and I'm not going to say how. Tyrone knows. So what I do is I go out there and I meet people. I network, and I've met wonderful, wonderful people like Tyrone and his family. And so what I do is, people sometimes they still tip you in my type of work, Dameon. So what I do is I don't keep the tip for myself. So I just accumulate the tip. So I go back to India every year. And so whatever I accumulated, I collected in the tip, $300, $400, $500, and then I match it.
Wow.
And so I take the money back, and I'll pray for everybody at the Golden Temple, whoever contributed, whoever tipped me. And I take the money, and there's an organization that I belong to. So we try to marry off 4 or 5 unprivileged girls. And so give the money to somebody studying who couldn't afford their tuition fee, or buy them comforters, buy them shoes, buy them socks, and maybe buy groceries for a poor family. Because I don't, like, if I'm out there in India, I won't give out any cash money to anybody, but I will buy them food.
Right.
I will then buy them socks. I will buy them shoes. I will buy them clothing. So there's a lot of ways of giving back. So that money, actually somebody tipping me, that's not my money. But I'm taking that money all the way across 21,000 miles away. So there's a lot of ways of giving back. And so when I heard the story from Tyrone and what you guys do, my heart just plummeted. So you guys are doing awesome work. And I think we're put on this earth, Tyrone, I think you will agree, and Dameon, you will agree, that we're put on this earth by whatever the supreme power that we believe in. There's a reason for us for being here. And why not make the best use of it?
Well, if I can just interject, I just want to say, number one, thank you so much for asking that question. And the reason why I say that is because people seem to think that talking about charity work is a bad thing, or taking photos of somebody doing a good deed is a bad thing. You know, sometimes people say, oh, why are you taking a photo? Or this person's just doing it to get attention on social media. And to those kind of things, I say good, because there's an incredible amount of negative stuff that people have no issue in sharing. And just even from your story, you motivated me again, and you've renewed my spirit to want to give, knowing that you do something so selfless for yourself. So, you know, for the people that are out there that are doing good things, let it be known. Take photos. Don't be ashamed of that. Put it out there. Who cares what people think? Who cares if people think you're showing off? You don't know who you're going to be motivating, and that person can go on to make a huge difference and really help somebody else.
Good point. Even if you inspire one person, even if you inspire one person,
Absolutely.
that's your job.
So thank you so much for asking that
Thank
question.
you. Thank you.
And I thank both of you guys for leading it into the next point. You guys can sock it to me I am at the UFC gym, and what that means is I do collect socks to give out to the less fortunate. So that's my campaign that I run, Sock It to the Coach. If you guys have any lightly used clothes, and we do go out on a monthly basis, you can drop them down, you can call me, you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, and I will make sure that if I don't make it out there, somebody will come by to pick up the donations. Also, if you guys are looking to get involved, send us an email. We're always looking for people, good people that want to do good things in the community. And you know, you're right, promote what you're doing out there. A lot of people, Dameon brings up a great point. People have no problem putting some nasty stuff or something that makes no sense on the internet.
Good point.
You know, let's promote what we can do to make a difference. So yeah, I'm a shameless plug. I'll take stuff. I'll come out and get it. Dameon will go. He's gone, traveled hours to pick up donations.
Awesome.
And I can guarantee you it goes to a good cause, and we work with some good people.
Awesome, and you know, nicely put. And I was going to ask you for your handles, and if somebody wants more information regarding your gym, Tyrone, or they want to join your gym, or they want to join hands with you, Socket, for example, they want to help you with your charities. How can they get hold of you?
Sure, you can. I'm easily found on Facebook, Instagram, Tyrone Bradshaw, Coach Bradshaw. You can look up Specialty Boxing, hashtag Mind Your Business, and you should be able to find me. Tag Dameon Okposio, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. There will be no shortage of ways to find us.
Awesome, and tell me something about a little bit about your YouTube channel there, Dameon.
Oh, thank you.
What do you have there?
So,
I haven't checked it, but I will definitely.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
It's the DO Boxing Show, and it was started a couple years ago. There's 700 plus episodes on there, and we just do everything that comes to boxing. So we interview a lot of people that are in the sport of boxing. We talk about topics, predictions, and you know, like we just express the fun that we have in the game of boxing and bring it to other people. And if people have questions, we answer it through that. So it's just a format of a way that people can interact and learn a little bit more about the Canadian boxing scene. We focus a lot on the local scene, but we talk about the international scene as well. And if people look on YouTube for the DO Boxing Show, they'll be able to find that.
If you were given a magical wand and you could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
If I could change one thing in the world, it would be to make everyone positive. And I think that you know, negativity brings people down and it slows people down. And if everybody could be positive, like look at the advances that we've made already, even with all the pessimistic people that are out there. So imagine if we were all positive, the advancements that we could make, and the way that we could take care of each other. And for me, that would be just something to strive for.
And same question to you, Tyrone. If you had the magical wand, and what would you change in the world?
I think I would make everybody believe and believe truly in themselves, that they can achieve anything that they want to achieve. It's just about putting in the hard work and the dedication, but empowering people to believe that they can have anything they want.
Gentlemen, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys have a big heart. So whatever you do, I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
And I can promise you from Newstalk Sauga 960 that whenever you guys need a plug, whenever you're doing this good charity work that you're doing, let us know. And even when you come out with your next issue for your magazine, Dameon, let us know. We'll give you a shout out. And our doors are always open. That's why we're here. That's why we're a community radio station.
Thank you.
We want people like you. Big hearts, guys. You're awesome people. Stay blessed. Love you guys.
Newstalk
Thank
Sauga
you.
960 AM. Thank you.